Hello everyone, this is Remlays from 40k Theories, and welcome to this new episode of 40k Lore for Newcomers. For this episode, nominated on Patreon by Jacob Magala, we will be taking a brief look at the Imperial officers known as Commissars. This video will be a brief overview for certain events that may be explored in greater depth within additional videos in the future. So without further ado, let's begin.
Blessed is the mind, too small for doubt.
Commissars are specialist officers from the Administratum's Departmento Munitorum, commonly assigned to both the Astra Militarum and Imperial Navy, which have existed in one form or another since the days of the Great Crusade. The primary purpose of these officers is to ensure that both discipline and morale is maintained, as well as ensuring that the unit's devotion to the God Emperor is upheld. Should discipline ever begin to falter, then a Commissar will take whatever steps are necessary to ensure it is restored. In addition, it is the duty of these officers to punish any form of cowardice, heresy, or sheer incompetence that they uncover within the regiments or ships that they are assigned to, in order to root out spies, chaos cultists, or gene-stealer infiltrators. This makes Commissars amongst the most feared individuals within the Imperial military, due to not only being strict and uncompromising taskmasters, but also the fact that they have carte blanche to execute any soldier regardless of their rank should they be deemed a coward, traitor, heretic, or simply a bumbling oaf. Despite the fear that Commissars instill within others, they will still seek to gain the respect of those they fight alongside by displaying great acts of bravery and ferocity. This is typically done by charging into wherever the fighting is at its thickest, as these men and women realize that their authority means little if it cannot be enforced one way or another. Because of the role that they fulfill within the Imperial military machine, Commissars technically exist outside of both the conventional military and naval hierarchy. While they are formally part of the Militarum Tempestus, these officers operate under the authority of the Officio Praefectus, a division of the Munitorum that is more commonly known as the Commissariat, and will frequently originate from a world different to that of their assigned unit. This, in theory at least, ensures that Commissars retain a degree of neutrality in regards to the affairs of guard regiments and naval fleets, and remain untainted by any biases towards those units that they are assigned to, allowing them to perform their duties with a cold and ruthless efficiency.
As I try to impress on the young whelps in my charge these days, it isn't the scarlet sash and the fancy hat that makes you a Commissar. It's the way you wear them. The troops you serve with are never going to like you, but if you can get them to respect you, that can be almost as good. Remember, you're going to spend most of your career on a battlefield with them, and they've all got guns, so making them think you're a liability is never going to be a very good idea.
While the majority of officers throughout the Astra Militarum and Imperial Navy will begin their careers as lowly recruits before eventually being promoted to higher ranks, those that are destined to become Commissars are commonly hand-picked from a young age. Prospective Commissars are selected from the pupils of the Schola Progenium, academies cum orphanages that are run by the religious organization known as the Ecclesiarchy. Within these schools, children will become indoctrinated into the Imperial cult from a young age, and will develop a veneration towards the God Emperor that borders upon fanaticism. The students of these schools will also undergo an intensive training regimen which instills in them both a physical toughness and strict discipline, and as a result, those who graduate from the Schola Progenium will often be selected as recruits for the Tempestus Scions and even the Inquisition. The most promising children, those that display the most unshakable faith in the Imperial cult and the greatest amount of totalitarian idealism, will be selected to become Commissars. These prospective Commissars will begin their training as a cadet, learning basic military tactics as well as how to deal with common battlefield situations. To this end, cadets will often be formed into squads under the tutelage and command of a true Commissar. Such training, however, is incredibly harsh and demanding, as these men and women will one day be expected to earn the respect of the common guardsmen through their acts of bravery and devotion. Those that progress on to the next phase of their training will ascend to the rank of Junior Commissar. These junior officers will then serve underneath a graduate commissar in an assistive role, and may even perform full commissarial duties, though on a smaller scale, such as by supervising individual squads, although they apparently lack the authority to carry out any impromptu executions. Should these individuals prove themselves competent in their duties, then in time they will be promoted to the rank of Commissar and their training will officially be complete. Despite this, not all cadets will successfully pass their training, and those that have demonstrated even the slightest trace of insubordination or cowardice will be executed by their instructors. However, those that fail to become a commissar that have proven themselves to be disciplined and pious individuals will often be set upon a new career path, such as serving within the ranks of the Tempestus Scions. Some of these former cadets may even become commanding officers within the Militarum's penal legions, guard regiments that are comprised entirely of criminals. Despite not meeting the standards required of a commissar, their discipline and fierceness is more than capable of keeping such vile malcontents in line.
The Valhallans hate the cold as much as the rest of us. They're just taught that carping on about it gets the commissars all riled.
While commissars can prove to be both highly inspirational and intimidating figures, not all Imperial Guard regiments will tolerate the presence of commissars within their ranks. Those commissars that are assigned to the Catachan jungle fighters, for instance, are known to frequently experience horrific accidents. Despite this, some commissars will succeed in commanding the respect of those that they fight alongside, even within the most insular regiments. While the common role of commissars is to serve as support officers, as well as to execute any cowardly soldiers or incompetent officers for their failings, this is not always the case. Depending upon the regiment or naval fleet that commissars are assigned to, these officers can find themselves serving an altogether different purpose. For example, those commissars assigned to the Death Corps of Krieg, regiments of the Astra Militarum whose soldiers are infamous in their apparent over-eagerness to die in combat, will serve primarily as tactical support officers as opposed to maintaining regimental discipline. As such, Krieg commissars will seek to prevent their commanding officers from recklessly throwing away the lives of their men in pointless suicidal engagements, and will instead offer an alternative course of action. The planetary defense forces of many Imperial worlds may also fall under the purview of a single specialist commissar or commissar equivalent, who is responsible for maintaining discipline and morale over the PDF. These individuals, known appropriately enough as PDF commissars, may even be responsible for monitoring the military forces of an entire planetary system, or in some extreme cases, an entire sector for any signs of dissidence and heresy. Such individuals, however, will often butt heads with the commissars assigned directly from the Departmento Munitorum in regards to jurisdiction and the overall chain of command, and it is not unheard of for PDF commissars to be executed by Munitorum commissars for overstepping the bounds of their authority. Some commissars may even find themselves being placed in command of an entire Astra Militarum regiment, with such individuals being granted the rank of Colonel Commissar. Such a position within the ranks of the Astra Militarum is noted to be fairly uncommon, due to the fact that the duties required of both a commanding officer and commissar tend to be somewhat contradictory and mutually exclusive. While the position of Colonel Commissar is said to be both a threat to regimental discipline and prone to harbouring personal biases towards those units that they are assigned to, such officers have proven themselves to be fairly competent commanders upon the field of battle, with some individuals being known to achieve many victories in service to the Emperor and the Imperial. And that concludes this episode of 40k Lore for Newcomers. If you like this video, consider supporting us on Patreon for more content. To those that are new to 40k, we hope you learned something. So leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.